Diesel heaters, a lot of them out there. Hard to figure out which one's right for you. I'm going to show you what I've got. I actually got a second one because of the improvements that have come along, but yet my old one still works fine. The difference with this one and my newer updated one is it's slightly bigger. My only hookups for battery. The fuel cap, notice it's just got a little seal so they can, if splashing around a lot, can leak out. As far as diesel fumes, they can let them out. The new one is pretty much the same, but it comes with this extra gasket that hopefully will keep the fumes down. One other note, I carry this one in my trailer that I use for camping, and every time I would open that toolbox with my old heater, it would smell like diesel. Whereas this one, no such smell. So it may be sealing it better. Got these handles that fold to give you even more room. Whereas the old one, it's permanent. This one came with the AC DC adapter, whereas I had to purchase this one. And it's even got a nice fancy plug-in for it. But essentially, you still have the battery hookups. So if you are going to hook up to a battery and run it that way, if something was to happen to this, I actually could use this one because this one is adapted to hook up to the battery terminals. So this one will work on this one as well, but you just have to hook up here instead of here. It works just as if I had a battery hooked up to it, but never runs out of juice. So they both came with remote controls. They're identical, therefore I put an N for new on the newer one. The problem with these remotes, although they work pretty darn good, is that you don't know when you can turn it on obviously, but you don't know if plus or minus at what level you're at. So if you're in your tent and you want to get a little toastier, you just hit the plus sign. But did it really work? On the new one, it actually has Bluetooth. So you can actually look at it on your screen, on your telephone. So the old way would be to just turn it on. Now I'll show you the Bluetooth as it's working. So I've noticed on this unit, sometimes it does take a little bit to hook up to the Bluetooth. Other times, it's quite fast. Once you do get it, you can see me tapping on the plus sign to increase the temperature. You can see the voltage being used, the temperature, and the ambient temperature as well. With the Bluetooth, you're also able to change the temperatures from Celsius to Fahrenheit and many other things that are just much tougher to do with the screen on the front of the heater. So definitely a good reason to get Bluetooth on these units. Now I haven't hooked up the exhaust. That is another one of the differences. This one, you simply hook up the exhaust, whereas this one, the older model, it's not terrible, but let me show you. You have to lift it up. That one right there is the exhaust. So every time you would have to lift it up and hook up the exhaust there. Then it comes out from under and turns out. Whereas on this one, you don't have to lift the model at all. It comes out the side. So I do like that feature. This one has got two ways of looking at the fuel. You can look at it where the heat comes out of from the front. You can also look at it from the side. Whereas on my old one, you can look at it only from the side. Now in most of these heaters, the ducting for the hot air is terrible. So I use a dryer vent duct, and it's 4" by 25 foot in my case. Works great. Does get a little hot, but it does the job. The most juice that it uses is in shutdown and in startup. Once it's going, it doesn't take much power. And I find that one full tank on these will last all night on high. And if you have it on like 3 or lower, you actually use about half the fuel. So you actually can go 2 nights with a full tank. Now these newer heaters, including this one, has an altitude adjustment setting that it adjusts itself if you're above 10,000 feet. That's something I'll probably never need, but for those that live up in a high altitude, this might be something that you might want to consider when buying a heater. One other thing that I will mention is, well, because they are cheap, because they are Chinese, nothing against them. I've never had an issue, but I always carry a carbon monoxide detector in my tent. Now, if you're still concerned and want the top of the line, then usually Webasto, Epperspatcher, I think that's how you say it, or Planer are the way to go. But you're going to be spending in excess of $1,000. These off of eBay work quite nicely, or have for me. Oh, and by the way, this new one did come with wires for batteries as well. So it's already all set up. And they all come with this vent that you can adjust and turn, that I hooked up to that same type of flexible ducting. Now, hopefully this video was helpful to you. And like I said, to make a decision, it's not just for camping either. You can use them in barns, as long as you exhaust fumes go out and don't want to die from carbon monoxide. But anyway, you can use them for heating up houses, barns, sheds. In an emergency, they can come in handy. I've actually cut out a piece of wood that I can put across the bottom of my window with a hole that fits the vent. Heater's not even in the house, and just heat up the house. Now, it will not heat up an entire house, but you can close a few doors, and like I said, in a pinch, in an emergency, it'll save you. Well, y'all take care and catch y'all on the next one.